we're done with tomatoes for right now. And if we want more tomatoes, we're gonna have to plant some more. So let's go. What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope all y'all are having a fantastic day. It is Tuesday, July 23rd here in South Georgia, and today we're talking about fall tomatoes. So a couple videos ago, we had a lot of people ask to see us try to grow fall tomatoes. So today I'm going to kind of walk you through our thought process as far as which varieties we're going to grow, when we need to get them planted by, when we're aiming to have more tomatoes in production around here, and then we'll show you how we get some seeds started. So 2 videos ago I showed you how our spring tomato season is kind of a wrap down here in South Georgia come the middle of July. And so this weekend, Abram and I got rid of most of our tomato plants. We did have a row of determinate tomatoes right here. They are long gone. The way we do it is we just take some loppers and cut them at soil level there. We leave the roots in the soil, then we just pull out the plants and our string from our weave trellis. Now, if you have problems with nematodes or think you may have problems with nematodes, you may not want to leave your tomato roots in the soil like we do here. But we do enough cover crop and enough rotation. I usually don't have any issues with nematodes. I usually don't have any issues with just cutting those tomato plants right at soil level, leaving the roots there. Now I still need to take down these indeterminate tomato plants. Got a few more of these Turkey Creek fruits that we're going to save for seed. And I think I'm going to go ahead and take down that Cherokee carbon mess over there as well. So although some of you out there are just now starting to harvest tomatoes, and some of you will have tomatoes in production all the way until your first frost, we're done with tomatoes for right now. And if we want more tomatoes, we're going to have to plant some more. So let's go over to the greenhouse and talk about doing that. Now, it's very important to note here, I have never done fall tomatoes. I know it can be done. I've seen some of the commercial guys around here do it. I've heard from a ton of our viewers that grow fall tomatoes as well. I've never done it because we're usually tired of tomatoes at this point in the year, and we've usually canned a decent amount of tomatoes at this point in the year, and we don't really want any more. But I thought this would be a good year as any to give it a try. Maybe have some nice little late tomato production there in the fall. Maybe have some Ocrian tomatoes. We'll find a lot of good ways to use them if we get some. Now, although I've never grown fall tomatoes, I have given it quite a bit of thought over the years. You could say I've studied on it quite a bit. So let me kind of walk you through my thought process, what I'm thinking as I'm wanting to try fall tomatoes for the first time. So number one, I don't think we should ever count on a fall tomato crop for tons of production. I wouldn't ever want to rely on a fall crop of tomatoes for canning a bunch of tomatoes. I think we should just look at it as a nice little bonus that we could get at the end of the year. Number two, if we're going to grow fall tomatoes, we probably need to be growing determinate varieties. There's just not enough time for us to get our money's worth out of some indeterminate tomatoes. Now, we have demonstrated that we can do okay with some indeterminate varieties, but we're still not that consistent with them. We know those determinates are going to be the most consistent performers for us. Those are going to probably give us our best shot at a fall harvest. So not only do we want to grow determinates, which are going to give us more tomatoes in that shorter fall window that we have to work with there, we also want to choose some hybrids that have some built-in disease resistance. Because when we plant these things, say late August, early September, it's still going to be brutally hot out here. And I know a lot of those indeterminate and heirloom varieties just can't take it. Heck, they couldn't take it in the kind of early to mid-spring months. They definitely couldn't take it right now. So we need some tough varieties that we know can take some of that heat at least until it cools off a little bit. Now, another thing to consider here, we're going to need, I think, about 110 to 120 days to make this work or to make it worth it. Now, I probably should have started a week or so ago, but I think I still have plenty of time. So let's kind of walk through how much time we've got to do this and how much time we're gonna need. So usually here in South Georgia, we get our last frost, say the end of November. It could come middle of November. It could come, you know, early to mid December. But on average, we're looking at late November. So if we start counting from today when we're going to plant, like I said, it's July 23rd. So we got August, September, October, November. We've got 4 months to work with. We've got about 120 days if we start today. So is that going to be enough? Well, most of your determinate tomato varieties out there are going to have a maturity date around 75 days. Now that's 75 days from transplant, not 75 days from seed. So we have to factor in the time it's going to take us to grow a viable transplant from seed in this greenhouse behind me. I think with warmer temperatures and with me pushing these things really hard, I can get a decent transplant in about 4 weeks. So let's just say 25 days for the sake of easy math. 25 days to get a good transplant, and then 75 days to go from transplanting to fruiting, so 100 days total. But we don't want to get our first frost on the same day we get our first tomato. We want a nice little production window there after that 100 days. And so that's why I said we want to aim for 110 to 120 days. That way we have time to enjoy some tomatoes before they get killed by that first frost. So given all those timelines and such, yeah, I probably should have started a week or so ago, but I still think I've got plenty of time since I've got about 120 days, assuming our first frost date comes when it's supposed to come. And one last thing to consider as I've studied on this idea of fall tomatoes, I'm really not trying to get production in, say, late September or even early October. I'm not trying to get these plants to produce tomatoes when it's still really hot out here. I'm just trying to have the plants stay growing during that time, and then hopefully once it cools off, that's when we start getting our fruit production. So I'm aiming for fruit production, say late October, early November, once it cools off a little bit. I'm just not even going to try to push any plants to produce while it's as hot as it is out here now. So given all those considerations, let me tell you what varieties we're going to be planting, and then I'll show you how we do it here in the greenhouse behind me. So we're basically planting the same determinate varieties that we grew or we planted in the spring, -1 because I don't have any of those seeds right now. So we're going to plant red snapper again. We can always count on that to do well for us. Going to plant this BHN Gold as well. Did really well for us in the spring to summer garden. Has a little later maturity date than say red snapper does, but I think we've still got time to get some of those really good gold tomatoes from this variety. I don't have any roadster seeds at the moment, supposed to have some on the way. If I get them in soon, I'll add some roadster to the mix as well, and we'll have all 3 that we grew in the spring. We can kind of compare, see how they do in the spring versus say the fall garden. So as far as our setup inside the greenhouse here goes, we do have these on a heat mat, but it's not turned on. We definitely don't need a heat mat this time of year. Just gives me a nice surface to work on. So I've just left it there. We won't use a heat mat in the fall for any kind of seed starting. We really only use these things in the spring. I've got this bootstrap tray here. Going to be using this. You can see we've only got soil in about half of it. For smaller applications, I do like these bootstrap trays. I tend to use the PropTech trays for larger plantings of stuff. Not sure if we'll have these on the website by the time this video airs, but we will have these added to the website soon. We've already got our labels in place. We have those on our site as well. Got some Pro Mix BX in there. Already got that moistened down, and so we're just going to be planting 3 rows there of red snapper, 3 rows there of BHN Gold, approximately 20 or so cells of each. So I'm just getting some seeds dropped here. Already got my red snappers down. Now I'm going to work on my BHN Golds. And so when we're doing fall seed starting, we don't need a heat mat. We don't need a humidity dome. All we really need is dirt and water. It's plenty warm enough out here to get these things to germinate. And so let me go ahead, get some BHN Golds planted here. Get this opened up. The seeds come in these little Ziploc bags here, so they're a little easier to get to. They don't get stuck in the corners like they will some of these seed packets. And these seeds usually germinate pretty well for me, so I'm not going to double plant anything here. We're just going to put 1 seed per cell. and just roll with that till we get them finished here. And as I'm finishing these up, I guess I should mention, since I didn't mention it earlier while I was doing it, I do make a slight little indentation in these cells to kind of hold the seed in the middle. Got to have this seed start mix moist so you can do that, or else that little dibble or depression won't hold. But just a small little depression or dibble there helps you get your seeds nice kind of square in the middle of the cell. Also ensures you don't plant these things too deep. And then lastly, as we do with everything, we're going to cover these seeds with perlite as opposed to covering them with more pro mix. Just something we like to do around here. We do it on our fig trees, we do it on all our vegetable seeds. This works really, really well. So just a light covering of perlite there. And so we've only used about half this tray. If I get some more of those roadster seeds in, like I said, I'll do 3 more lanes there. Still won't fill up the tray, but we'll be using about 3/4 of it if we get some roadsters. Now I'm just going to give this a light drizzle of water. Don't need a whole lot since we pre-moistened that seed start mix earlier. Just a light drizzle of water, and then they'll get watered again when I come out here later this afternoon and water all my fig trees. Now, like I mentioned earlier, once these seeds germinate and get up and going, I'm going to push them pretty hard because I'm trying to get a viable transplant as quick as possible. So once those tomato plants or seedlings get their second set of leaves, I'm going to start giving them some of that agri-thrive fruit and flower every single day and pushing them pretty hard, trying to get them to grow out as fast as possible. Because remember, from our timeline that I laid out earlier for you, we really need to have these transplants ready to go in the ground in, say, 4 weeks, or maybe even a little bit sooner, say 25 days. Now, as I've shown you many times over the years, doing our seed starting and growing transplants in this greenhouse here, you have a lot of control over how fast these things grow out. Now, we can get a tomato transplant ready to go in 2 weeks, but I think we can get one ready to go in 4 weeks, as opposed to maybe 6 weeks. So you have to be careful. You will burn them if you give them too much fertilizer, but you can push them pretty hard. We do what we call micro dosing, which is a very low dose basically given to the seedlings every single day, and it really helps push them and get them ready faster than normal. So here goes nothing, our first ever attempt at fall tomatoes. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't work, we won't be too upset. At least we tried. There's also quite a few other vegetables, warm season vegetables, that we can replant again in the fall. Some of them include beans, peas, sweet corn, summer squash, cucumbers, even okra. And on some upcoming videos, we'll be talking about and showing you how we do some more warm season planting in the fall to get one more round of some of these delicious veggies. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. Let me know in the comments below if you're trying fall tomatoes this year, and if you want to learn more about our fertilization program inside the greenhouse and how we really push these transplants to grow out faster than normal, watch this video right here. We'll show you the whole process, kind of walk you through how we do it. So check that out, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.